notorious reputation. Black Dolphin Prison is not just any correctional facility. It is a place synonymous with absolute punishment and despair. Known as one of the most feared and heavily guarded prisons in the world, Black Dolphin has earned its grim reputation due to the nature of the criminals it houses and the inescapable conditions within its walls. It is a prison where the worst of the worst, serial killers, mass murderers, terrorists, and even cannibals, spend the remainder of their lives in total isolation from society. The prison's name itself is misleadingly innocent, derived from a black dolphin statue that was sculpted by inmates and placed at the entrance. However, beyond this eerie decoration lies a fortress of extreme discipline and relentless security. Black Dolphin is not just a prison. It is a symbol of Russia's strict and unforgiving stance on crime. Established during the 18th century, the facility was originally used as a detention center but was later converted into a high-security prison for the most dangerous criminals. Today, it operates under the Russian Federal Penitentiary Service, and its reputation continues to strike fear into those who hear of its existence. The very mention of Black Dolphin evokes images of unbreakable steel doors, endless concrete walls, and prisoners whose lives are reduced to a monotonous, highly controlled existence. What sets Black Dolphin apart from other maximum security prisons around the world is its reputation as a place of no return. While some high-security prisons, such as the United States ADX Florence, allow for a slight possibility of transfer or legal appeal, Black Dolphin offers none. Every prisoner inside has been sentenced to life without parole, meaning that once they pass through the prison gates, they are effectively cut off from the outside world forever. This brutal reality has made Black Dolphin infamous among criminals and law enforcement alike. It is not just a place of confinement, but a facility that represents the finality of justice in its harshest form. Some view it as the ultimate deterrent against crime, believing that the fear of spending eternity behind its walls serves as a warning to would-be offenders. Others argue that its extreme methods are inhumane, questioning whether any justice system should allow such severe and irreversible conditions. Regardless of one's perspective, Black Dolphin Prison remains an institution unlike any other. It is a place that does not rehabilitate or reintegrate. It simply ensures that those inside never see freedom again. The stories of the inmates, the unrelenting discipline enforced by guards, and the sheer psychological impact of total isolation make Black Dolphin more than just a prison. It is a final destination for those who have committed society's most unforgivable crimes: location and security. Black Dolphin Prison is strategically located in the Orenburg region of Russia, near the border with Kazakhstan. Its remote location adds an extra layer of isolation, making escape or outside interference nearly impossible. Unlike prisons situated in major cities or more populated areas, Black Dolphin is surrounded by desolate landscapes, cutting inmates off from any potential contact with the outside world. This geographical placement ensures that even if a prisoner were to miraculously break out of the facility, they would still face an overwhelming challenge navigating through the vast, unfamiliar, and heavily monitored territory beyond its walls. The prison is designed to be one of the most secure correctional facilities on the planet. From the moment an inmate arrives, they are subjected to an intensive intake process meant to strip them of any sense of personal identity or autonomy. Prisoners are blindfolded upon arrival so that they cannot map out the prison's layout in their minds. This practice is not just for security. It also serves a psychological purpose, reinforcing the idea that the prisoners are powerless and completely under the control of the system. The architecture of Black Dolphin is built with security as its top priority. The facility consists of multiple layers of reinforced steel doors, heavily fortified walls, and surveillance systems that operate 24/7. Every cell is a concrete box, measuring only about 50 square feet, 4.5 square meters, and is sealed shut with thick metal bars. These cells are designed to eliminate any chance of escape, with no furniture, no windows for an external view, and barely enough space for movement. Prisoners are never left alone and are constantly monitored through surveillance cameras, ensuring that every action they take is observed by guards. A unique feature of Black Dolphin security measures is its strict movement protocol. Inmates are not allowed to move freely within the prison. If a prisoner needs to be relocated for any reason, they must go through a precise and dehumanizing procedure. Guards handcuff them behind their backs, place a blindfold over their eyes, and force them to walk bent forward at the waist. This posture is deliberately imposed to disorient inmates, preventing them from memorizing their surroundings or identifying escape routes. Guards always accompany them, ensuring that there is no chance of resistance or sudden movement. The personnel at Black Dolphin are among the most highly trained prison guards in Russia. These officers operate under strict rules and maintain complete discipline at all times. Unlike some prisons where guards might interact with inmates in a limited social capacity, the guards at Black Dolphin have no personal engagement with prisoners. They do not speak with them beyond issuing direct commands, reinforcing the atmosphere of total control and psychological subjugation. This approach prevents any form of manipulation, bribery, or even basic human connection between inmates and prison staff. Additionally, the prison enforces a zero-tolerance policy for any potential security breaches. Even minor violations, such as an inmate failing to stand in the required posture during inspections, result in immediate punishment. Prisoners must stand at attention whenever a guard enters the cell, and they are subjected to frequent searches to ensure they are not concealing anything unauthorized. These measures, combined with the facility's remote location and maximum security infrastructure, contribute to Black Dolphin's unbroken record. No prisoner has ever escaped, and no attempt has ever been successful. Blindfolded transfers. One of the most notorious and psychologically impactful aspects of Black Dolphin prison security protocol is the way prisoners are transported within the facility. Unlike conventional prisons where inmates may be moved with basic restraints or escorted under guard supervision, Black Dolphin takes an extreme and unique approach. Every prisoner is blindfolded and forced to walk in a highly restrictive posture whenever they are moved from one location to another. This method serves multiple purposes. First and foremost, it is a security measure designed to prevent inmates from memorizing the layout of the prison. By keeping them visually disoriented at all times during movement, the authorities ensure that no prisoner can form a mental map of the facility, reducing any chance of an escape attempt. Even if an inmate were somehow able to overpower a guard or break free momentarily, they would have no knowledge of where to go or how to navigate the labyrinthine corridors. The second purpose is psychological. Blindfolding an inmate strips them of their sense of independence and reinforces their complete subjugation to the system. It eliminates their ability to anticipate their surroundings, creating a state of constant vulnerability and fear. The experience is designed to break down any remaining resistance, making it clear that they have absolutely no control over their movements or environment. This tactic is not just about physical security. It is about reinforcing the prison's authority over every aspect of a prisoner's existence. The posture in which prisoners are forced to walk further adds to this sense of powerlessness. Inmates must bend forward at the waist, their hands cuffed behind their backs, and their heads bowed low. This position is both humiliating and physically uncomfortable, preventing them from seeing where they are going or preparing for sudden changes in movement. The posture is deliberately chosen to weaken their physical confidence and make them more compliant. It also ensures that they remain vulnerable, unable to react or resist in case a guard needs to intervene. This form of movement is enforced without exception. Whether an inmate is being taken for a medical checkup, a routine inspection, or any other purpose, they must submit to the same procedure every time. Guards escort them in small groups or individually, ensuring that there is no opportunity for communication between prisoners. The entire process is conducted with military precision, leaving no room for deviation or hesitation. Additionally, the guards do not engage in casual conversation or provide any verbal comfort during transfers. The only sounds an inmate hears while being moved are the commands of the guards and the echoing footsteps in the corridors. This silence further heightens the psychological impact of the experience, making the prisoner feel utterly isolated and insignificant. The combination of blindfolding, restrictive posture, and total silence creates an atmosphere of extreme control. Unlike many prisons where inmates can develop a sense of routine or familiarity with their surroundings, Black Dolphin ensures that its prisoners remain in a perpetual state of uncertainty. They never know exactly where they are in the facility, how long they will be walking, or when they will be stopped. This unpredictability is designed to keep them mentally subdued and physically exhausted. For inmates who will spend the rest of their lives within Black Dolphin's walls, these blindfolded transfers become a routine part of their existence. However, no matter how many times they endure it, the experience never becomes comfortable or predictable. It is a reminder that they are not just prisoners. They are completely at the mercy of a system that has stripped them of all autonomy, isolation, and surveillance. Black Dolphin Prison operates under one of the most extreme and unforgiving isolation policies in the world. Unlike many other high-security prisons, where inmates may have some degree of limited social interaction, Black Dolphin enforces near-total isolation for its prisoners. The facility is designed to strip inmates of any sense of connection to the outside world or even to each other. From the moment an inmate enters Black Dolphin, they are effectively erased from society. Communication with the outside world is virtually non-existent. There are no visits from family members, no phone calls, and no letters filled with hope. The Russian prison system ensures that these inmates, all of whom are serving life sentences for the most heinous crimes, have no opportunity to influence or interact with life beyond the prison walls. This complete isolation serves as both a security measure and a psychological punishment, reinforcing the idea that these individuals are permanently removed from human society. The prison layout itself is designed to prevent any form of socialization. Each inmate is confined to a small, reinforced concrete cell measuring approximately 50 square feet, 4.5 square meters. The cells are devoid of any decoration, comfort, or distraction. There are no windows facing the outside world, just thick walls that trap the prisoners in a permanent state of sensory deprivation. The only view an inmate has is of the interior of the prison when the steel door is opened, but even then, the strict movement protocol ensures they remain blindfolded and disoriented. Prisoners spend 23 hours a day inside their cells with no access to communal areas. Unlike in other prisons where inmates may have some form of yard time or shared activities, Black Dolphin's prisoners are only allowed out for 1 hour each day. And even then, they are placed in a heavily secured, isolated exercise area. This space is nothing more than a caged-in concrete room, similar to their cells, but without a ceiling, allowing them to see only a small patch of the sky. This brief moment outside their cells does little to relieve their isolation, as they are still alone, under constant surveillance and restricted in their movements. The lack of human interaction is intentional and enforced by strict regulations. Guards do not engage in casual conversation with the inmates. Any communication is limited to direct commands, reinforcing the idea that these prisoners have no identity beyond their status as criminals. This lack of verbal exchange further deepens the psychological impact of their isolation, making them feel more like objects of control rather than human beings. Surveillance at Black Dolphin is relentless. Each prisoner is monitored 24/7 through surveillance cameras placed inside their cells and throughout the facility. There is never a moment of privacy, no opportunity to act without being watched. Even during sleep, the inmates are under strict observation. Guards conduct routine checks every hour, ensuring that prisoners are alive and following the rigid regulations. These checks involve looking through a peephole into the cell, or even physically waking the prisoner to confirm their status. The psychological toll of knowing that they are never truly alone, yet unable to interact with anyone, creates a deep sense of helplessness. Every aspect of an inmate's life is controlled and monitored. They must stand at attention when a guard enters the cell, and failure to comply results in immediate consequences. Their movements, posture, and even the way they eat are closely observed. Meals consist of basic sustenance, usually soup and bread, served through a small opening in the door to minimize any potential threat to the guards. This extreme level of isolation and surveillance is not just about preventing escape or ensuring security. It is a calculated method of psychological domination. By keeping inmates under such strict control, Black Dolphin ensures that its prisoners are left with no illusions of autonomy, no hope of escape, and no chance of ever regaining any semblance of normal life. Harsh living conditions. Life inside Black Dolphin Prison is designed to be as unforgiving as possible. Every aspect of an inmate's existence is controlled with military precision, ensuring that they experience no comfort, no sense of routine outside the strict prison rules, and no hope of rehabilitation. The prison operates on the principle that these criminals, some of the worst in Russia's history, are beyond redemption, and thus, their punishment is absolute. One of the most defining features of Black Dolphin is the size and design of its prison cells. Each inmate is housed in a tiny, windowless concrete box measuring approximately 50 square feet, 4.5 square meters. There is no furniture, no bed, and no personal items allowed. The only things present in the cell are a small, fixed metal bunk, a steel toilet, and a sink. The walls are bare, offering no distractions or relief from the bleak reality of confinement. Prisoners are not allowed to lie down or rest on their bunks during the day. They must either sit or stand at attention at all times. The only exception is the designated sleeping hours, which are also heavily regulated. Meals at Black Dolphin are strictly rationed and consist of the bare minimum necessary for survival. Inmates receive simple portions of soup and bread, with no variety or special accommodations. This diet is not only monotonous, but also insufficient for proper nutrition, leading to gradual physical deterioration over time. Unlike in some other prisons where inmates may have access to commissaries or special meal privileges, Black Dolphin provides no such options. There is no opportunity for extra food, no snacks, and no indulgences of any kind. The act of eating itself is closely monitored, with guards ensuring that prisoners consume their food in silence and do not attempt any form of communication or defiance. Hygiene and medical care in Black Dolphin follow the same strict regulations. Prisoners are given only the most basic necessities, no access to personal hygiene products beyond what is deemed essential. Showers are permitted on a strict schedule, usually once or twice a week, and even then, the process is controlled to prevent any unauthorized actions. Medical treatment is provided only when absolutely necessary, and even then, it is minimal. Unlike in other prisons where medical attention may be more accessible, Black Dolphin ensures that inmates do not receive any more care than is strictly required to keep them alive. Another defining aspect of life in Black Dolphin is the rigid daily schedule. Inmates are required to wake up early, and their days follow a strict pattern of standing at attention, routine checks, and isolation. There are no activities, no work programs, and no form of recreation beyond the 1-hour outdoor time in a small, enclosed cage. Even this brief time outside is solitary, preventing any form of social interaction. The exercise itself is limited. Prisoners may be allowed to walk in circles or perform simple physical movements, but there is no gym, no sports, and no way to exert themselves beyond what the prison allows. Sleep is not a reprieve from the harsh conditions of Black Dolphin. Guards conduct hourly checks throughout the night, ensuring that prisoners are still in their designated sleeping positions. These checks are intrusive, with some reports stating that guards wake prisoners every hour to confirm they're still alive and compliant. This relentless surveillance prevents inmates from getting deep, restful sleep, further contributing to their physical and mental exhaustion. Inmates are also subjected to constant searches and inspections. Cells are frequently examined for any contraband, though the prison's extreme security measures make it nearly impossible for inmates to possess anything beyond what is officially allowed. Prisoners must submit to strip searches and other invasive security procedures whenever guards deem it necessary. These searches serve as another reminder that the prisoners have no privacy, no autonomy, and no control over their lives. The psychological effects of these conditions are severe. The combination of extreme isolation, lack of human interaction, sensory deprivation, poor nutrition, sleep deprivation, and constant surveillance wears down the mental state of inmates over time. Many prisoners at Black Dolphin suffer from depression, anxiety, and other psychological disorders. However, the prison does not provide mental health services or counseling. There is no effort to rehabilitate or support inmates in any way. Instead, the prison's approach is purely punitive, ensuring that every inmate experiences the full weight of their sentence with no possibility of relief. Every aspect of life in Black Dolphin is designed to reinforce one thing. The inmates are here to serve their life sentences under the strictest, most punishing conditions imaginable. There is no leniency, no comfort, and no hope of escape. It is a place where the concept of rehabilitation does not exist. Only perpetual punishment, in its most extreme form, no hope for parole or escape. Black Dolphin Prison is not just a maximum security facility. It is a place of absolute finality. Every inmate housed within its concrete walls is serving a life sentence, and there is no possibility of parole, early release, or any form of legal reconsideration. Once a prisoner is sent to Black Dolphin, they will never experience freedom again. This certainty of permanent confinement makes the prison a terrifying destination, not only because of its harsh conditions, but also because it represents a complete and irreversible removal from society. Unlike in some prison systems where inmates may have the opportunity to appeal their sentences, earn parole for good behavior, or be considered for a reduced sentence under special circumstances, Black Dolphin operates under a zero-tolerance policy. The Russian legal system has deemed every individual in this facility unfit to ever re-enter the outside world. Many of the prisoners housed here are serial killers, mass murderers, terrorists, pedophiles, and cannibals. Criminals who have committed the most heinous acts imaginable. Their crimes are considered so severe that the legal system does not allow them even the slightest chance at redemption. The lack of parole is not only a legal decision, but also a psychological weapon. Prisoners know from the moment they arrive that there is no way out. The knowledge that they will die behind these walls crushes any hope of a future beyond confinement. Unlike in other prisons, where inmates might dream of the day they walk free, Black Dolphin's inmates have no such illusions. They are fully aware that the only way they will ever leave is in a body bag. Escape from Black Dolphin is not just difficult, it is considered impossible. The prison has never recorded a single successful escape attempt in its long history. This is due to its extreme security measures, its remote location, and the sheer impossibility of outmaneuvering the guards and surveillance systems in place. First, the physical design of the prison is a fortress built to ensure that no inmate can breach its walls. The cells are small, reinforced with thick steel doors and high security locks. Prisoners are constantly monitored, with surveillance cameras watching them 24/7. Unlike other prisons where inmates may be able to communicate with each other, plot escapes, or acquire contraband, Black Dolphin's strict isolation policy makes it virtually impossible for prisoners to collaborate. Each inmate is confined to their cell almost all day, with no chance of forming alliances or planning an escape in secrecy. Whenever an inmate is moved within the facility, they are subjected to the notorious blindfolded transfer method. This prevents them from memorizing the prison's layout or identifying weak spots in security. Guards escort prisoners in a highly controlled manner, keeping them disoriented and vulnerable at all times. Even if an inmate somehow managed to escape from their cell, a feat that is nearly unthinkable given the prison's rigorous security protocols, they would still face multiple layers of steel doors, high fences, and heavily armed guards stationed throughout the facility. The guards at Black Dolphin are among the most highly trained in the Russian prison system. Unlike in lower security prisons, where corruption and bribery may sometimes play a role in escape attempts, Black Dolphin's guards operate under a strict militarized structure. They have no personal interactions with inmates, making it impossible for prisoners to manipulate them or gain any kind of advantage. The guards are trained to respond with absolute force to any security threat, ensuring that even the slightest hint of an escape attempt would be met with immediate and overwhelming retaliation. Beyond the prison itself, the external environment further eliminates any possibility of escape. Black Dolphin is located in the Orenburg region, near the border with Kazakhstan, in a remote and desolate area. The climate in this region is harsh, with freezing winters and vast, open landscapes that provide no cover for a fugitive. Even if an inmate miraculously escaped the walls of Black Dolphin, they would be met with an unforgiving wilderness, extreme weather, and no access to food, shelter, or transportation. The nearest towns and cities are heavily monitored, and authorities would be alerted the moment an escape attempt was discovered. Prisoners understand that escape is futile. They know that there is no possibility of success, and this knowledge reinforces the crushing hopelessness of their existence. Some may fantasize about escape in their minds, but in reality, every factor, from the prison security measures to its brutal isolation policies, ensures that no inmate will ever set foot outside its walls as a free person. Black Dolphin is not just a prison. It is a tomb for the living. It is a place where time stands still, where hope is a distant memory, and where the outside world becomes an unreachable dream. Prisoners are not just serving sentences. They are experiencing a slow, methodical erasure from existence, itself psychological effects of incarceration. The psychological toll of being imprisoned at Black Dolphin is as severe, if not worse, than the physical conditions. This facility is not just designed to punish criminals by restricting their freedom. It is built to systematically break them down mentally and emotionally, ensuring that they live out the remainder of their lives in a state of perpetual subjugation and despair. From the moment an inmate arrives at Black Dolphin, they're stripped of any remaining sense of identity. They are no longer individuals with a past, personal connections, or even a future. Instead, they become nothing more than a number, a nameless entity whose sole purpose is to exist within the confines of their tiny concrete cell. This psychological erosion begins immediately and continues indefinitely. The extreme isolation enforced in Black Dolphin is one of the most damaging aspects of its psychological impact. Unlike many other high-security prisons, where inmates might have limited interaction with other prisoners, Black Dolphin ensures that no inmate ever speaks to or even sees another prisoner unless absolutely necessary. They eat alone, exercise alone, and remain locked away in their tiny cells for 23 hours a day, with only an hour spent in a similarly enclosed exercise space. The lack of human interaction leads to profound loneliness, which can cause severe mental deterioration over time. This type of solitary confinement has been linked to numerous psychological disorders, including depression, anxiety, hallucinations, paranoia, and even suicidal tendencies. When a human brain is deprived of social stimulation, it begins to turn inward in dangerous ways. Many prisoners in extreme isolation report hearing voices, experiencing intense mood swings, or even developing irrational fears and delusions. With no access to therapy, counseling, or any form of mental health support, inmates at Black Dolphin have no means to process or alleviate these psychological burdens. Sleep deprivation is another major factor contributing to the mental breakdown of prisoners. The hourly checks conducted by guards throughout the night prevent inmates from achieving deep, restful sleep. Some reports suggest that prisoners are deliberately woken up at intervals to ensure they remain compliant, further eroding their ability to function normally. Chronic sleep deprivation has well-documented effects on the human brain, including cognitive impairment, increased aggression, heightened emotional instability, and even hallucinations. Over time, the lack of sleep combined with extreme isolation creates a state of constant mental exhaustion, making prisoners more susceptible to breakdowns. The complete loss of autonomy also plays a crucial role in the psychological torment of Black Dolphin inmates. Every aspect of their lives is controlled, from when they sleep and eat to how they stand when a guard enters the room. There are no choices, no privileges, and no sense of personal agency. This absolute control is designed to reinforce the idea that prisoners no longer have any power over their own existence. The inability to make even the smallest decisions creates a sense of learned helplessness, a psychological state where individuals stop resisting their circumstances because they believe they have no control over them. This phenomenon has been observed in victims of long-term captivity and torture, and it is a powerful tool for breaking a person's will. The prison's strict silence policy further intensifies the psychological strain. Guards do not engage in conversation with inmates unless it is a direct command. There is no small talk, no encouragement, and certainly no expressions of sympathy. This enforced silence creates an eerie, oppressive atmosphere where inmates feel completely invisible, as though they do not even exist as human beings. The lack of verbal interaction contributes to a sense of total isolation, making time feel endless and unbearable. Additionally, the deprivation of sensory stimulation within the prison environment worsens the mental deterioration of inmates. With no access to books, television, or even natural light, prisoners are left with nothing but their own thoughts. The absence of mental engagement leads to cognitive decline, making it difficult for prisoners to maintain a grip on reality. In some cases, inmates in long-term isolation have reported losing their sense of time, forgetting basic facts about their lives, or even struggling with simple thought processes. For many inmates, the psychological impact of incarceration at Black Dolphin is worse than any physical hardship they endure. The relentless isolation, the strict regimentation, the absence of any hope for release, all of these factors work together to strip prisoners of their sense of self. Over time, many prisoners experience complete emotional numbness, losing the ability to feel anything beyond a deep, persistent emptiness. Others may succumb to madness, their minds unable to withstand the relentless pressure of confinement. Ultimately, the psychological effects of being imprisoned at Black Dolphin are profound and irreversible. Unlike in some prison systems where rehabilitation is at least a theoretical possibility, Black Dolphin is a place where inmates are meant to be forgotten, both by society and, eventually, by themselves, that a place meant to be forgotten. Black Dolphin Prison is not just a high-security facility. It is a place where inmates are deliberately erased from society. Unlike other prisons, where even the most hardened criminals may still have some connection to the outside world, Black Dolphin is designed to ensure that its prisoners are completely forgotten, both legally and psychologically. It is a place where criminals are sent to disappear, where their names are no longer spoken, and where their existence becomes nothing more than a life sentence inside a tiny, inescapable cell. The prison's remote location in the Orenburg region of Russia, near the border with Kazakhstan, reinforces this sense of erasure. Far from any major cities, surrounded by desolate landscapes and extreme weather conditions, Black Dolphin is almost inaccessible to the outside world. This isolation is not accidental. It serves to sever any last ties the inmates may have had to normal life. Unlike in many other prisons, where inmates might receive occasional visits from family members or lawyers, Black Dolphin allows for virtually no contact with the outside world. Prisoners do not receive letters, they're not allowed phone calls, and they're not given any opportunity to appeal for their release. From a moment an inmate enters Black Dolphin, they are effectively removed from existence. Their days are stripped of any meaning beyond survival. There's no work, no education, no rehabilitation programs, and no religious services. There is nothing to prepare them for a life outside because there is no life outside. Unlike in other prisons where good behavior might earn privileges or a reduction in sentence, Black Dolphin offers no such incentives. There is no possibility of parole, no chance of earning a lesser sentence through good conduct, and no way to demonstrate remorse or rehabilitation. The prison administration enforces this erasure in every aspect of daily life. Inmates are given no personal belongings, no books, no television, and no access to newspapers or news about the outside world. They have no way of knowing what is happening beyond the walls of their confinement. Over time, this detachment from reality deepens, making it difficult for inmates to even remember what life was like before incarceration. With no exposure to time markers like seasons or news events, prisoners lose track of the years, further cementing their sense of being forgotten. Even within the prison itself, inmates are kept in conditions that prevent them from forming any meaningful human connections. The strict isolation policy ensures that prisoners never see or interact with one another. They eat their meals alone, exercise alone, and are only moved under heavy supervision, blindfolded to prevent them from familiarizing themselves with the layout of the facility. This means that, over time, many prisoners lose even the most basic forms of social interaction. Without anyone to speak to or share experiences with, their sense of self begins to fade. The physical environment of Black Dolphin reinforces this psychological erasure. The cells are small, windowless concrete boxes with nothing inside but a steel bed, a toilet, and a sink. There is no color, no decoration, nothing that personalizes the space or offers a sense of individuality. Every cell looks identical, emphasizing that each prisoner is just another faceless inmate, interchangeable and insignificant in the eyes of the system. Guards do not engage in conversations with prisoners, only issuing direct commands when necessary. This complete lack of acknowledgement further deepens the feeling that these inmates no longer exist as people, only as numbers in a forgotten prison. Even in death, inmates of Black Dolphin do not return to society. There are no public funerals, no graves for families to visit. When a prisoner dies, their body is quietly removed, and their name fades into obscurity. Unlike in some prison systems, where death might bring a final moment of recognition or a chance for loved ones to mourn, at Black Dolphin, death is just another unnoticed event in a place designed to make its prisoners disappear. Over time, this psychological and physical erasure takes its toll. Inmates who once had identities, ambitions, and histories gradually become hollowed-out shells of their former selves. Many lose the ability to feel emotions beyond despair or emptiness. Others succumb to madness, their minds unable to withstand the relentless isolation. Some simply give up, existing in a passive, robotic state, following orders without resistance because they know there is no alternative. Black Dolphin is not just a prison. It is a place where society sends its most dangerous criminals to be erased. It is a facility designed not only to contain, but to break, to strip away the last remnants of identity and hope, ensuring that those who enter are never seen, heard, or remembered again the eternal sentence. Black Dolphin Prison stands as the ultimate symbol of absolute punishment, a place where the worst criminals are locked away, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, until the end of their days. It is not merely a facility of confinement, but a meticulously crafted system of erasure, where inmates are stripped of their identities, their humanity, and any last traces of hope. There is no redemption, no rehabilitation, and no second chances. Once inside, prisoners are destined to live in perpetual isolation, following the same strict routine every day until their bodies give out. For the outside world, Black Dolphin remains an enigma, a fortress of steel and silence, housing those whom society has deemed unworthy of freedom. Its walls do not just keep prisoners in. They ensure that the memories of these criminals fade into obscurity. It is a place where time has no meaning, where life is reduced to mere existence, and where the only certainty is that there will never be an escape, not in life, and not even in death. In the end, Black Dolphin is more than just a prison. It is a final destination, a place where justice meets its harshest form, a place where the most dangerous criminals are sent to be forgotten, a place from which no one ever returns.